different talents, we have different gifts, we have different resources, because and God has leased out to us these things, because He wants us to experience experience the joy of giving. And that is what stewardship is all about, the joy of giving. So God created man in His own image and likeness, and He made man so that man could be a ruler over the dominion of our over this dominion that is called earth, just as how He is the ruler over the dominion or the kingdom that is this entire universe. He both visible and invisible. He controls everything. All right. Now, and a side note here says we learn a bit about this responsibility, as in responsibility that was given to man in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, which refers to Adam and Eve being placed in the Garden of Eden to manage it. We can reinforce our understanding of this delegation when we compare different Bible translations describing their gardening responsibility as to work it, to watch over it, to cultivate it, or to tend it and to keep it. In other words, brothers and sisters, it was not any it wasn't any petty responsibility to manage that responsibility. Because if God has never given us the ability to manage a responsibility, then God would be guilty of being irresponsible, right? He would have been guilty of being irresponsible. But lo and behold, God, who is wise and all-knowing and all-powerful, has given all of us abilities and has given us also responsibilities that will match and meet the several abilities that He has given unto us. Now, stewardship builds essential character traits. And when we looked at the fundamental belief, I think this came out in it, right? It says God was intentional about giving humanity dominion over the earth. So this wasn't an afterthought. This wasn't something that, He was doing haphazardly. This was something that was planned out by Him, right? It says stewardship is one of the ways God helps us mature and develop our characters, right? And that part there is highlighted because it is very important for us to understand, my dear brothers and sisters, that in taking care of our body, in taking care of our talent and treasure and time and territory, God is helping us to mature and to develop our characters, right? And you can see clearly from this slide, or from what is said here, that there is not a single person who will ever make it to heaven who will be an unfaithful steward. There will be an unfaithful steward in heaven. In other words, my dear brothers and sisters, I think it behoves us that we understand what stewardship is really about. And by God's grace, we yearn to be faithful stewards. It says the process of exercising authority while still recognizing you are not the owner or of what you manage. Sorry, that should be off, right? You are not the owner of what you manage, helps give us victory over selfishness and covetousness, right? So when God has placed things in our authority, we need to realize that we are now, we have now become like mini managers, but we are not the boss, right? We're not the bosses, right? The boss has given us these things to see how we can manage them, how we share them. And these are the things that will help us to gain victory over selfishness and covetousness. And that is very, very important, because if we do not, through proper stewardship, gain the victory over selfishness and covetousness, you can mark my word that we will not be able to enter through those pearly gates of heaven. We won't be able to enter it, because there will be no stain of sin there. And selfishness is a sign of sin. Covetousness is also a sign of sin. Faithful steward. Purpose of teaching, that we've broken it down into four different aspects. But there can be more. But for the purpose of teaching, to make it simple and straightforward,